Recording in progress.
Good evening to all of you. This is Book One once again, and we are doing our presentation on literature review. We decided to choose the topic, the benefits and detriment effects of artificial intelligence on mathematics learning among senior high school students in Greater Accra metropolis, Accra. So basically, we want to look at the effect of AI, whether it is a benefit or a detriment to students. Now, when we say literature review, what do we mean? We are saying that before you come out with an article, you must at least look at what others have written about the research program you want to talk about. So in view of that, you have to look at what a renowned authors have said about that particular problem that you want to research about. Now, bear in mind that people will come up with their research articles, but there might be gaps inside. And as humans, we always try to solve solutions around. So by doing so, you consider different articles to look at whether you can fill in the gap. So we started to look at 5 different articles that we want to see whether there are really gaps in them. But now, let us look at the definition of AI. Now, what is AI? AI, artificial intelligence. So we are saying that AI is a tool that students use to learn. It helps them to learn without being lectured or being taught in the traditional room. It is a software that learners use. It is an application that learners use to learn on their own. It helps them to solve problems without being assisted when they have their device, their mobile device, when they have their laptop. AI will just help them to solve any mathematical problem that they have, if and only if they can control or use it well. So in view of that, we are of the view that we don't actually know whether the use of AI now, if you look at the performance in the universities, if you look at the outcome of the BC and WASI results, there are fall and up and down in the results. Now, is it the AI that is causing that? Is it the AI that is causing the fall in academic performance? Or is it the AI that is causing the rise in some of the subjects? So this leads us to look at articles. But when you look at articles that are being written so far, we've seen articles outside our jurisdiction, but we are studying at the University of Ghana, besides Accra. So we want to take a study to look at whether this AI have effect on our senior high school students in learning mathematics. If it is having an effect, is it a positive one or a negative one? So the literature review seems to address what people have said, and we are going to identify, or we have already identified gaps in what they have already said, and we'll be presenting on that. But before we go on, now let us look at the similarities. What have they said? All the authors that have written so far about the answer. What have they said that are similar? What have they said? What are their agreements? What have they agreed upon? What are their recommendations? And based on that, we will see our research topic to begin. So Amanda will continue to look at the similarities in them.
All right. Hello, good evening. And I am looking at the similarities between the thoughts and opinions of the authors or the journals that were used for this literature review. And so to go on for our first similarity, we can see after you've read the literature review, you can tell that they all agree, all the journals, all the 5 journals that were used agree that AI is a support tool for learning mathematics. Okay, they all are in agreement that in as much as we want to distribute the fact that it has a disadvantage, it is still a support tool for learning mathematics. And you can see this when you read the journal by E. et al., Nimala and Ravikandran, and then George and Jalil. They all acknowledge that the AI tool can help students understand mathematics concepts through explanation, because it breaks down concepts into simpler forms. And even if you don't understand, you can use other platforms to generate more information on one particular thing and then ask it to explain it in very lay terms for you to understand. Okay, and so they all are in support that it is a support tool for learning mathematics. That is something they all agree on. And then the second similarity you can find in this literature review amongst all the authors that were used is that they all believe and agree that it creates personalized and self-learning. Okay, so the AI is a tool for personalization. You can personalize your learning because AI looks at what the individual actually needs. What do you want to explain? What concepts in math are you struggling with? And then it breaks it down for you, as opposed to in a classroom setting where you would have one teacher being in charge of 30 or 50 plus students. Okay, you cannot subjectively attend to each student's need in the learning of mathematics. But with AI, if these students go onto the platform and then send in questions and prompts, it can give out a subjective answer that is personalized to that individual. And so we can see that in Yi et al. And Nimala and Ravikandran's journal, okay, where they emphasize that AI's ability to adjust learning materials, which may help the individual instead of a group setting. Okay, so the third one is that they all agree that it has a mixed impact on academic performance. That is to say that we can't necessarily point out that if you use AI, there is 100% assurance that your academic performance is going to increase, or if you use AI, it is definitely going to bring down your academic performance. That is something we all agree on. It has its advantage and disadvantage. And Yi et al. And Ogeke et al., they both acknowledge that while AI can support learning, its effect on achievement varies also individually. You would have one student who would focus solely on AI, do well, and even understand the concepts better. And then you have another student who also depend on it. But if you take AI out of the equation, that student won't be able to perform well because they have become over dependent on the tool for learning. And then the fourth one is that they all agree that there is a concern for over dependence on AI, especially in today's classroom, that if students rely so much on it, as proposed by George and Jalil and Insi and Kuzu, they all agree that if caution is not placed on the use of AI and then we allow students to learn it way more, it is going to create an over dependence on it so much that if we take it out of the equation, students won't be able to think critically and individually outside the scope of AI. Okay, and then the last one, that last similarity I could say or I could tell from the literature review is that it has its role in reducing mathematics anxiety. And this was also said by Nimala and Ravikandran, where they said that if a student has math anxiety, the students can be able to pour into this platform, this AI platform, questions, okay? And the more you, so in mathematics, the more you solve questions, the lesser it is for you to feel fear when it comes to solving problems, because the more you get exposed to problems, the more confidence it boosts in you. And so from here, we are going to look at the differences that was cited amongst this literature review, and I'll leave it to my colleague to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll proceed and then we look at the contrasting views of the use of AI in mathematics education. We can all agree to the fact that mathematics is based on problem solving is the mathematics education. So we are looking at making our students becoming a problem solver, right? According to George and Jalal 2025, they agree to the fact that when it comes to problem solving skills, to develop this skill. So, for example, when they are faced with a simultaneous equation and then they seek assistance from AI, it's able to be able to get the concept, what the AI is trying to let them understand. It assists them to get the solution in bits. All right. But in contrast to this, teachers are concerned about independent thinking of students. So students don't think critically. Think through and then come up with a solution by themselves because society is faced with day in, day out problems. But in this case, they always depend on AI. So, for example, instead of trying different strategies of solving a geometric problem, students just feed AI with it, and then AI will just come up with solutions and then they copy instead of thinking through. You see, so they just copy solutions from AI instead of thinking through and then developing their own critical thinking skills. So AI support learning, that's a benefit that is helping students to get concepts broken down and also solutions for them to understand, but also deepens, it reduces the deep analytical thinking of students, which is detrimental. So in effect, it's an issue of balance. All right, thank you. So I'll allow my brother to conclude this session.
Yeah, AI has important part on the disadvantage part, and this part wants to explain to us how AI helps with mathematics anxiety and how the same AI can affect us with mathematics anxiety. Many researchers believe that AI makes learning easier because it provides quick answers and clear explanations. For instance, Yital explained that AI can adjust learning materials according to students' individual needs, thereby helping them to understand. Because AI can be used in our private studies, and we can feed the AI with a lot of questions for the AI to help us in our private studies, and it builds confidence. So, in addition, Nimala and Rachel state that AI enables students to learn at their own pace, which can improve understanding. However, despite these benefits, some researchers warn that students may depend too much on AI tools instead of developing their own thinking skills. Yeah, there are some questions you have to involve your general knowledge or something you know about the topic already. But involving AI in everything you do will kill the confidence because it will generate overconfidence with AI, and this will cause mathematics anxiety. Furthermore, several studies have examined that relationship between AI and students' academic performance in mathematics. Some findings some findings suggest that AI can improve performance. For example, Yital found that Students who used AI performed slightly better than those who did not use them. Yeah, students who are using AI will perform better because during their private studies, the questions they can't give to the TA or they can't give to the lecturer or they can't give to their teacher, they will give to AI to help solve it for them. And AI will also explain everything to them so that they will get the understanding themselves. And this will help improve their performance. On the other hand, Hugo et al. Reported that there was no significant difference between students who used AI and those who did not. The screen. And those who did not use AI. Yeah, so students who used AI mostly depend on AI, and during their formal assessment, it affects them because it kills their confidence. It kills their confidence. During their private studies, it helps improve their confidence because they talk to AI personally. And during their formal assessment, there is no AI there, so it affects them. And that during that exam time, the mathematics anxiety will come in. Yeah, so AI, that's the negative effect of AI in this aspect. Furthermore, previous research presents mixed findings with some studies reporting. Consequently, there is a need to examine whether AI is truly a blessing or a curse for senior high school students in Accra metropolis, Ghana. This study therefore seeks to fill this important gap in the literature. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And because of this inconsistency, or because there are no valid conclusion whether there is a benefit or disadvantage of using the AI by students, we want to go. We have seen clearly that there's a research gap, whether there is confidence to say that AI help students to learn beneficially, or AI is rather uh, giving students opportunity to have some kind of good learning. So we have decided to take this upon ourselves to investigate and see whether there is a benefit or